Hi there! My name is Robin, and welcome to English Grammar Now. Today, we're going to be talking about cheerfully studying hard. We're studying adverbs. First, let's talk about what adverbs are. In some ways, they're similar to adjectives, which we've already studied. Adverbs are words that describe verbs, or they can also describe adjectives. They might describe a number of different things. For example, they might tell us how something happens. For example, she dances beautifully. Beautifully is an adverb. It might describe degree. I'm almost finished. It might describe how often. He always shops here. It might describe where something is happening. It's raining outside. Or it might describe when, like, can you call me soon? When we use adverbs, the position that they have in the sentence is a little more changeable than with adjectives. If we're using an adverb that tells us how something happens or where something happens, it usually comes just after the verb. For example, we could go anywhere. The verb go is followed by the adverb anywhere. Or an example, she giggled quietly as she read. Giggled is our verb, and quietly is how she was giggling, so it comes just after the verb. If we're using adverbs that are telling us about the definite time of something, we can usually put it at the end of the sentence. For example, we could say, we can discuss it tomorrow. Or we could say, he's leaving next week. Tomorrow and next week are definite times, so we'll put them at the end of the sentence. However, if we're using an indefinite time, something that's not exactly certain, we'll put it between the subject and the verb. For example, we often go to the countryside on holidays. We is the subject and go is the verb, so we'll put often in between those two. Another example, I regularly get books from the library. I is the subject, get is the verb. So regularly, the adverb can go in between. Here's what adverbs often look like. We usually think of adverbs as words that end with ly, and that's really easy to help us find them. However, this is not always true, as we'll learn in a moment. But here's some examples of adverbs that do use ly. Constantly, normally, rarely, quietly, honestly, generously, completely, eventually, and immediately. You'll notice that if you take away the ly ending, what you're left with is an adjective. We'll talk more about how to change an adjective into an adverb in a moment. Some of the adverbs that we use quite frequently don't have ly endings, unfortunately, but they are very useful words. These are words like always, nowhere, more, very, or upstairs. In a sentence, it might look like this. He ran upstairs to answer the phone. If we want to change an adjective into an adverb, and it's the kind where we can add ly, there are a few spelling rules we need to remember. If the adjective ends in l or e, we simply add ly. This is true for words like special, changing to specially, nice, changing to nicely, polite, changing to politely. There are some spelling exceptions, however, like the word true changing to truly. We don't add an e in that one. If the adjective ends with a y, we add ILY. It will look like this. Happy changes to happily. Crazy changes to crazily. The pronunciation of those words changes a little bit as well. But remember that if it ends with a Y, we change the Y to I and then add another ly. Some other kinds of adjectives have different endings on them that change how we change it into an adverb. If the adjective ends with le, we take away the e and add y. Horrible becomes horribly. Simple becomes simply. And some special adjectives end with ick. We add ally onto these. Realistic becomes realistically. Specific becomes specifically. Now it's time to see what you know. In the box, we have a number of adjectives. You can decide which one goes in each of the blanks. But don't forget to change it into its adverb form. For example, we've already taken incredible and put it into the sentence as incredibly. My teacher is incredibly patient. See if you can find which adjective changed into an adverb will go into each sentence. Go ahead, give it a try. Here's how we could answer those questions. Number 1, we normally have 3 classes each morning. Number 2, the traffic is moving so slowly. Number 3, I try to brush my teeth daily. Did you remember to change the ending on day? It ends with y, so we need to change the y to I and then add ly to spell daily. Number 4, Jake specifically asked us to do it. That one also has a special ending, ally, because specific ends with ic. And number 5, wash the eggs carefully so you don't break them. You can see that for words like normal and careful that end with an L, we have 2 L's when we make it into an adverb. Great job! Let's talk about some special cases. Sometimes we can use an adverb to add information to an adjective and even to another adverb. So these usually come before the adjective or adverb. Here's some examples of that. I don't play badminton very often. You might notice that very is an adverb and often is also an adverb, but we can use them both together. The second example, that was a really tough exam. Really is an adverb and tough is an adjective. So even though we say that adverbs are used to describe verbs, in some cases we can put them together with adjectives or even other adverbs to help us add description into our sentences. Some kinds of adverbs occur in phrases, so we might see a group of words together that has an adverbial meaning. Take a look at some examples. Unfortunately for us, the power went out in the middle of the movie. Only half of the people I invited were able to come. And make sure to send the report as quickly as possible. The last sentence, when we use as quickly as possible, we're describing how to send the report. So as quickly as possible is a group of words all joining together to make an adverb meaning in the sentence. Let's take a look at a conversation that uses some adverbs. See if you can spot them as we're reading through. How was your match yesterday? Not too bad. We played a bit slowly in the first half, but then we got more energy later. Did you score? I nearly did, but my foot slipped in the mud and I fell. It rained heavily last night, so there were a lot of puddles. So, did you win? No, but thankfully it was a draw. We still celebrated after the game, though. Here's where you can see some adverbs in this conversation. You'll notice that some of these adverbs are describing different kinds of things, like when, or the degree, or a lot of different meanings. So, when you see adverbs, you'll know a little more about how to use them. Also remember that ly endings are easy to spot, but not all adverbs have ly endings. Thanks for studying about adverbs with me today. I hope to see you again next time. Goodbye!